Hi, I'm Shanna. Today I'm going to be talking about best practices for division models and strategies, 4th grade. Take a few moments to look at these funny images on the screen. Long division, what is that? That phrase doesn't make sense to students. The steps don't make sense to students. We're going to look at in this video a bunch of different strategies based on place value that are going to help students understand division of greater numbers. Within the unit, division models and strategies, we're going to be extending knowledge of division to include quotients with up to 4-digit dividends or 4-digit totals and 1-digit divisors, or what we're dividing by, including when there are remainders. Remainders can also be represented as fractional parts of the divisor. So what does student learning look like in the classroom? You definitely want to see some base 10 models, either base 10 blocks themselves or base 10 quick pictures where students are showing that division is separating into equal groups. And my solution is how many in each group or how many groups. Then you're going to move to area models where you're taking that dividend and breaking it up into smaller chunks, smaller, more manageable problems, and finding the solution to each of those and then combining at the end of the entire problem. Sometimes you might have a remainder, so students need to know what to do with that remainder in that situation and how to represent it as a fraction. Then you're moving to partial quotients and using those place value discs to help model the partial quotients. Once again, making connections back to that area model. I'm doing the same thing. I'm breaking up that dividend into smaller, more manageable chunks, and I'm just recording how many groups of that multiple that I was able to do at a time. And then at the end, combine it and find what the quotient is. Finally, you're going to go back to using those base 10 blocks to really represent word problems. You might even use area models. And the goal is at the end, you're going to have some type of remainder. So how do I represent that remainder? As a fraction to show what was left over. So what does student learning sound like in the classroom? What is the relationship between the array and your equations? So once again, once we get to those numbers, being able to connect back to that array and where that equation came from. Does this model only work for problems that need things put into equal rows? So bringing in that piece of a remainder. Can I figure out what the remainder is with any model or strategy? How can multiplication be used to help you solve a division problem? So relating that multiplication and division, that's going to be really big in that area or array model. And why are the remainders represented as a fraction? How does that work? How do I take what's left over and represent it as a fraction? So having kids be able to explain and understand that is essential. Here are some of the vocabulary we want to hear students using as they discuss the math within this unit. Area model, decompose, digit, divide, dividend, divisor, place value, properties of operations, quotient, remainder, strategy. How will students demonstrate their knowledge? Here are some examples from STEMscopes. In this first example, you can see once again they're using equal groups models. They probably already use base 10 blocks and have moved it to the quick picture. We're going to see strategies based on area models or arrays, and then even taking it to the next step and recording the remainder as a fraction. And then we may see some fluency builder games like the one shown on the screen, Division Baseball, and where students are using any strategy that they want or a teacher selected strategy to solve division problems and play a game. Here are some questions to ask to gauge student understanding. How does your strategy connect to place value? Throughout this entire unit, we want to make connections back to place value and make sure that when students are describing their steps or their strategy, that they're using that place value language. Why is it easier to subtract larger multiples of the divisor rather than just continuously subtracting the divisor itself? So that's really connecting what they've already done with repeated subtraction to what they're going to be doing with partial quotients, where I'm subtracting larger multiples of that divisor to get to the answer quicker. Here's an engaging task or activity for your home. This is called area model flowers. So what you're going to do is you're going to think about 6 different types of flowers, and you're going to make up a 6-digit number to represent how many seeds you have of each of those flowers. Your child will pick one of the cards, one of the types of flowers, as their total number of seeds. Then they can either roll a number cube, or you guys can select between 1 to 9 rows, like how many rows are we going to separate them into equally. They're actually going to use an area model for division to figure out how many seeds will be in each row. You can extend to have them record the equation or even prove with other strategies to make connections. Thank you for joining me for this session. Hopefully you got a lot out of it about division models and strategies in 4th grade. This is just a reminder of some of the different place value strategies, such as area model, place value disk, partial quotients, even base 10 blocks, that we want to see students using within this unit. See you next time.